Happy Sabbath. Today is May the 20th, 2017. We're going to start a different, a series of studies, basically still continuing in the theme of Daniel 11, all right? But this time we're going to go into specific detail into verse 44. So we're studying the tidings, right? The tidings that come out of the east and out of the north, all right? We've studied, it took us a long time to study Daniel 11. And before we had specifically Daniel 11 verse 1 to 39, right? And it filled in the blanks of what was missing when we were studying Daniel 11 verse 40 to 45, right? And what did Ellen White say is the little book? What is the little book that you are to do, and you are to eat it? At the time of the end, it will be unsealed. What is it that you are to eat, that little book, at the time of the end? She said that it is the prophecies in Daniel that has not been fulfilled yet. All right? So in 1989, when there was a group of people that started studying and finding out what is it in Daniel 11 that is not yet fulfilled, because everything had been already fulfilled up until Daniel 11 verse 39, and then they said, you know what? Daniel 11 verse 40 part B has not been fulfilled, and it's not been fulfilled, and it keeps on until the end of Daniel 11 verse 45. Okay, so we're going to go to this part. We're going to see where this leads us to. So here's the Daniel 11. I'm just going to read this again. Right? 11 verse 40 to 45. And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him. Right? That has already happened. We know that has already happened. And at the time of Ellen White, this part has not happened. At the time of Ellen White, this part, and at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him. And our pioneers knew that. All right? They knew this. And from this part, part B, it has not been fulfilled. And the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with horsemen and with many ships. And he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab and the chief of the children of Ammon. He'll stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt. And the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. But, here we go. But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall what? Trouble him. It shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and utterly make away many. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. And what is the next verse? Michael stands up. And at that time, all right, when he's wanting to plant his tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain, he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. And at that time, Michael will stand up. The great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, which as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. So we're going to concentrate on this verse right here. But the tidings what is the tidings out of the east and out of the north that will trouble him? Who's him? The papacy, the king of the north, right? And then he shall go forth with fury to destroy. Then he will start persecuting and killing, right? And a lot of people are going to be martyrs, right? Okay, what is the tidings? What are tidings? Okay, so tidings, right? What's tidings? Good news. Oh, you remember a song? Good news, right? The tidings means news. All right, well, you know what? We have to do precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. That's how you study the Bible, right? Isaiah 28 verse 10. Precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Okay, let's go to the Hebrew Bible. What does tidings mean? Hebrew 8052. It's Shemuah. What does Shemuah mean? Rumor, report, fame, doctrine, or news. Wow. Rumor, report, fame, doctrine, and news. Okay, let's look at the word Shemuah and find where it is first. Now this is Shemuah here. The tidings, this is translated as Shemuah. H8052. 8052, it's Shemuah. But Shemuah out of east and out of the north, okay? Let's go to the Bible, look for the first mention. Is the first mention important? Very important. The first mention. The first mention of the Bible that is translated in the King James Version, Shemuah, meaning tidings, all right? And it's found in 1 Samuel 4, verse 19. Shemuah here, which is 8052, is translated as tidings. And the story is about who? Eli. And his daughter-in-law, Phinehas's wife, was with child, near to be delivered. And when she heard the tidings that the ark of God was taken and that her father-in-law, who's the father-in-law? Eli. And her husband, who's the husband? Phinehas, right? Were dead. Obviously Phinehas's brother. Who's Phinehas's brother that died also? Hophni. Hophni and Phinehas died. And the father also died. She bowed herself and travailed for her pains. Travails of pain? What do you think about that? Is that? We know that's Islam. Came upon her. All right? So when did the church fall and Islam attack? Midnight cry. Right. Yeah. Okay, this is, I'm just going to, right? There's going to be tidings. Okay, the tidings means the news. In that case, this is not good news. Right? This is the tidings, this is not good news. Right? Remember, the church went down and there's a woman in travail with pains. And we know this is prophetically Islam. And this is the ark of God was taken. That's the church has fallen down. All right? Okay, let's find out. Another tidings. 1 Kings 10, verse 6 to 7. Oh, we're going back to this tidings. All right? Who actually predicted that this was going to happen? Samuel, right? Samuel was 12 years old. And Samuel had a vision. He was called initially 3 times. And on the 4th time, he had a vision. What kind of vision was that? All right. Is it a Chaldon vision, a Mare vision, or a Mara vision? It's a what vision? You got 3 choices. It's a? Right. Yeah, he had a vision. What kind of vision was it? It's a Mara vision. He had a Mara vision. Right? In that vision, he saw that The ark was going to be taken. Eli's going to die. Hophni and Phinehas is going to die. Right? And did he want to tell Eli about that? No, he was afraid. Why? He was only 12 years old. That's bad news. Oh no. Am I going to tell this elderly man, I'm a 12-year-old boy, I'm going to tell that, oh, you know what, you're going to die, your son's going to die. Oh no, I can't do that. So he waited. And then what did Eli say in the morning? Eli says, oh, tell me, what was that? Tell me, and I will accept what that, right? Because why did he say, I will accept what God was given to me? Why? Because why did he say that? He's the priest. He is supposed to be the one that God speaks to, and he realizes what has happened to him. He's been passed by. All right? The leaders have been passed by. All right? For a small kid. The leader has been passed by. All right? And that the small kid is now going to give him the bad news. So, this tidings is a what? Now, how would you what's the relationship of the tidings to Samuel's prophecy? What's the relationship of the tidings as to Samuel's prophecy? Is it revealed? Yeah, it's the revelation of the prophecy, right? Yeah, it's the revelation of the prophecy, right? The prophecy has come true, right? That's tidings. You get it now? So tidings is a revelation of a prophecy. 1 Kings 10, verse 6 to 7. And she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in mine own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. Howbeit I believed not the words until I came, and mine eyes had seen it. Okay, who's this? The Queen of Sheba. All right. And behold, the half was not told me. Thy wisdom and prosperity exceeded the fame, the tidings. It's the fame which I heard. Okay. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the fame. Now, how do you reconcile this? What does this mean?
It used to be a news. Now I see it.
Yeah. I see it for my own eyes. Now, who's the Queen of Sheba? He's a what? The Gentile. When are the Gentiles going to come and hear and see your wisdom? Right. When is it going to come? Midnight cry. Right? Midnight cry, remember? It's the Nethinims, right? The Nethinim is going to suddenly, the people from the world now, it's like the wise men from the east. They're the ones that have been studying, right? Yeah, they've been studying. Some people in the world are studying, and when they say, these guys making a prophecy, it's true what they say. You know what? We've been studying too. And now they come and they see the fame, right? Okay. Isaiah 28 verse 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand tidings, which is doctrine? Yeah, did you realize this? Whom shall we? Knowledge and doctrine is fulfillment of prophecy. You go precept upon precept, you understand it's fulfillment of prophecy. Because why? Because those who can understand the doctrine do not need milk anymore. What do they eat? They eat meat. And what is meat? Prophecy. Is the knowledge. Is the tough meat. All right? We can't continue to survive on milk. Absolutely not. Right? All right. Okay. Where do you see the tidings again? On all those Christmas postcards.
Yeah.
Good tidings. Remember those Christmas? Right? But didn't you sing that during Christmas time, Good tidings to you and the tidings? Remember the tidings, right? Oh, yeah. The tidings. He had no clue what it meant. Luke 2, verse 8 to 12. And and there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. You know what? They don't look afraid here. I'm sorry, they don't look afraid here. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. So what is the tidings? Is that Jesus is born. All right. So what is actually tidings that we just read? It's a fulfillment of prophecy. All right. So when you study this, do you need to have Ellen White tell you that the shepherds were studying prophecy? You actually don't need Ellen White. Because the Bible basically says that the tidings is fulfillment of prophecy. And the prophecy fulfillment is right here. So, the shepherds were studying prophecy. You don't need Ellen White to tell you that. But you know what? We're so blinded. We're so blind. We can't read it. We can't read the Bible to understand that.
Because our eyes were
Right. Yeah. Right. So what did Ellen White say in Desire of Ages 47.3? In the fields where the boy David had led his flocks, shepherds were still keeping watch by night. Through the silent hours, they talked together of the promised Savior and prayed for the coming of the King to David's throne. What were they studying and discussing about? Prophecy. And lo, the angel of the Lord came and gave them the tidings. The tidings, it says, you know what? What you've been studying there, here is the fulfillment of it, right here. So do you think that the angel could come to somebody who has not been studying prophecy? No use. If the angel say, hey, you know what, there's going to be a baby, they go, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. Right? Okay. All right. The tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Okay. Now we go to Revelation. Revelation 16 verse 12. Tidings of the east. Right? And the sixth angel. Revelation 16 means this is what we're talking about. Revelation 16 is talking about what? What does the Revelation 16 talk about? The 7 plagues. So when we're talking about the sixth angel, we're talking about the 6th plague. All right, the 6th plague, okay? Remember, Revelation 16 is about the 7 plagues, 7 last plagues. And the 6th angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates. And the water thereof was dried up. Was the Euphrates ever dried up? Oh yeah. Right? That the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. Who's the kings of the east that's going to come? And where are they going to come to? Go to verse 11. Where are they going to come to? Where the kings are going to gather to and going to go all join up together to fight God's people. Where are they going to join up in? Armageddon, right? So the Euphrates has to be dried up so that the kings of the east might be prepared the way of the kings of the east so they can come and join up in Armageddon. And spiritually, we know Armageddon is spiritual. We know this is spiritual, right? Because they're going to do the whole earth have to join up together in Israel to fight against the 144,000? Of course not. This is spiritual, right? Okay. Jeremiah 51, verse 31 to 32. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another. This is Jeremiah prophesying of what's going to happen at the time of the fall of Babylon. To show the king of Babylon and his city is taken at one end. The city of Babylon is so big that if there's a news on one side, the other side won't know it. And they have to send all these messengers running from one side to the other side just to be able to get the news to the other side. Nobody knows what's going on in the east side and what's going on in the north. The middle don't know what's going on. They're having a big party in the middle. And when the waters were dried up, and the kings of the east, which is the kings of Media and Elam, because Media and Elam is right east of Babylon, right? Right, and that's Medo-Persia, right? They come in, right? So Media and Persia is right east of Babylon. The kings of the east is Media and Persia. When the passages are stopped, right? The Euphrates is dried up, and the reeds they have burned with fire, and the men of war are affrighted. Okay. So who's the king of the north? The king of the east then? Media, Persia, but it's also Islam, right? It's Islam. So Islam can mean the kings of the east, right? And Medo-Persia can be king of the east. But Medo-Persia can also mean America. Oh boy. Wow, it can mean all kinds of things, right? So it depends on your context. You have to make sure you understand the context, okay? All right. So Medo-Persia can, and then who is it that came? Who is it that came? Prophets and Kings, page 531.3. While still in the festival hall, surrounded by those whose doom has been sealed, the king is informed by a messenger. See, he was in his hall. Who was this? Who was in his hall drinking from the golden and silver cups? Belshazzar, right? They were drinking from the gold and silver cups. Surrounded, whose doom has been sealed. The king is informed by a messenger that his city is taken. See? He didn't know what was going on. Somebody had to come in to tell him. But the enemy against whose devices he had felt so secure that the passages are stopped and the men of war were affrighted. See? That's Jeremiah 51. We just read that. Even while he and his nobles were drinking from the sacred vessels of Jehovah and praising their gods of silver and of gold, the Medes and the Persians have turned the Euphrates out of its channel. They have dried up the Euphrates and were marching into the heart of the unguarded city, right? They're going right through that, all right? Right through that what? Ishtar Gate. The army of Cyrus now stood under the walls of the palace. The city was filled with the soldiers of the enemy as with caterpillars. Oh, caterpillars, right? They came as in caterpillars. Is that prophetic? Oh, I think you don't like caterpillars. Do you like caterpillars? They're beautiful after they transform. And their triumphant shouts could be heard above the despairing cries of the astonished revelers. And that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldees, slain, and an alien monarch sat upon the throne. So who's this alien monarch that sat upon the throne? He's the king of Medo-Persia, but it's Cyrus, right? Cyrus became the king of the whole realm. But Darius was he was appointed to be the king of Babylon, just that city, Darius. But the whole realm was Cyrus, right? So Cyrus was was Cyrus already prophesied that Cyrus is going to come? Right. So if this is the end of time, the end of the king of the north, when Babylon is falling, and there's going to be, because we're talking about the sixth plague, right? Babylon is going to fall. Babylon's going to fall in the seventh plague, right? The kings of the east are going to come in, right? And Babylon's going to come into picture, and Babylon's going to fall. And there's going to be an alien monarch that's going to sit on the throne. Who's that alien monarch? Oh, it's Jesus. Right? In the sixth plague. Right. You get it? Right? After the seventh plague, right? Who's going to come? Jesus is going to sit on the throne. Right? Jesus is not going to rule. Right? So Cyrus actually typifies Jesus. Wait a minute. Cyrus typifies Islam, but Cyrus typifies Jesus. Okay, don't get confused. You got to use the context, right? All right. He was prophesied even in Isaiah 45, 1-4. And thus saith the Lord to his anointed. See, the Lord anointed to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden, to subdue nations before him, and I will loose the loins of the kings. What does it mean to loose the loins of the king? They shake and they tremble because of the tidings of the east and out of the north. Their loins are shaken, right? If they wear a tight girdle, their loins are straight and they don't have to shake, right? But what if their loins are, they can't stand up straight anymore, right? That's what it means. To open before him the two-leaf gates, and the gates shall not be shut. I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of brass and cut in sunder the bars of iron. And I will give thee the treasures of darkness. Remember what did Belshazzar's mother do? She made the river crooked. He made the river crooked so that when somebody wants to attack, it's difficult for them to attack because the river is crooked. So what Cyrus is going to make that crooked river straight is going to make it easy to come in, right? And I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that thou mayest know that I, the Lord, which called thee by thy name, am the God of Israel. For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. Wow. I'm going to punish what? I'm going to punish Babylon, right? But I've punished you, and you have to serve under Babylon for 70 years. All right. So Cyrus also represents Jesus, right? Cyrus represents Jesus. So how many years do you have to serve Babylon? 70 years. You know, Babylon subdued you. You are the apple of my eye. For that, Babylon's going to have to suffer also. You suffer 70 years, Babylon's also going to have to suffer 70 years. And this whole land shall be a desolation and an astonishment. And these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. You're going to have to serve Babylon 70 years, right? From the time of Daniel to the time of Cyrus, the third year of Cyrus. That's 70 years. And it shall come to pass when 70 years are accomplished that I will punish the king of Babylon. So the king of the Babylon is going to be punished after 70 years. 70 years of what? 70 years from the time that they defeated Assyria. Then they become the supreme ruler of the world. Babylon became the supreme ruler of the world for 70 years. And then they got defeated by Medo-Persia, right? For 70 years. Thus saith the Lord, for their iniquity and the land of Chaldees, and will make it a perpetual desolation. Now, if you go to Iraq, and you go look at where Babylon is, what do you think you will see around that area? perpetual desolation. Look at this. This is one of the walls of Babylon. They were digging this in 1902. RC, what Europeans were here digging this? Germans. I had to ask you that, RC, because you know. Oh, you're going to be in big trouble if you get that wrong. All right? They were digging up this. Right? Look at that. Right? Look at this. This is what it looks like. They were digging this in 1902. And where did they take this to? Where did they take it to? Germany. And they put it in the museum in Berlin, in the Pergamon Museum. And that's what it's reconstructed, you know. Yeah. The Pergamon, the gate of Ishtar. Right? All right? It's look at this. This is perpetual desolation. Can you believe that? There were hanging gardens here before. It's nothing there. Right? And I will bring upon that land all my words which I pronounce against it, even all that is written in this book, which Jeremiah had prophesied against all the nations. So when Daniel was saying, you know what, Lord? We've been in this country for a long time. I've been reading Jeremiah, and Jeremiah says that we're going to be here for 70 years. According to my calculation, we should be going back very soon. What was he studying? Jeremiah 25. All right? Okay. How are we doing with time? Oh, we're doing very well. Okay. All right. This is what we got to see. We've got to read this. This is very... A.T. Jones wrote this in 1882. This is before they discovered the cuneiforms in Babylon, Syria, Nineveh, and all this, all right? And they were eventually able to decipher the cuneiforms. They didn't understand what the cuneiform... They saw all these things and they can't understand it. All they had to rely on is the Bible and the stories of the histories by the Roman historians and the Greek historians, Herodotus, Philo, and all these historians, okay? And in the stories of the Greeks, there's no such king as Belshazzar. There's no such king. The critics would assert with a great deal of assurance that there never was any Belshazzar, because Berosus and Herodotus, these are the Greek historians, the only authorities of any value on the subject, both gave a list of Babylonian kings, and neither of which was any Belshazzar named. So they put to them, Greek history is more important than the Bible history. Therefore, as the historians failed to mention him, there never was any such king. They said, no, there's no such king as Belshazzar. But the Babylonian inscriptions, now there's it, okay. But the Babylonian inscriptions made it all plain and exactly confirm the Bible account. They declare that Nabonidus, which is Nabonidus, with an army took the field against Cyrus and left Belshazzar, his eldest son, right, in command of the city. Nabonidus, which is Nabonidus, being defeated by Cyrus, was compelled to take refuge in Borsippa. And Cyrus went on against Babylon and Belshazzar. And the city was taken with Belshazzar as recorded in Daniel 5. Right? Remember that story? Of course we do. And this condition of affairs in Babylon is the only one. The cuneiforms confirm the story of Daniel 5. All right? And the city was taken by Belshazzar. And this condition of affairs in Babylon is the only one that will agree with the record in Daniel. For Daniel was certainly made prime minister of that kingdom, the chain of gold being the insignia of that office. Yet for all his being prime minister, he is spoken as the what? Was he made the second or the third ruler? Why was he made the third ruler? How can this be? because Nabu-Nabid, which is Nabonidus, is the first ruler. And Belshazzar, his son, is the second ruler. That's why he can't be the second ruler. He has to be and Daniel, prime minister, yet the third ruler. And in no other possible way can the records of Daniel be met, for his office was really the second in the kingdom. But how fully this illustrates the perfect accuracy of the scriptures. Amen. Wow.
So what's the name of Nebuchadnezzar's father?
Nebuchadnezzar's father is Nabopolassar. Right. Nabu. Nabu is a god for them. Yeah. Okay. All right. Still keep going here. Here is an important point in the history of Babylon, wholly passed over by the historians. Yet Daniel records it exactly as it is. And after more than 2,000 years, the inscriptions of that king of Babylon declare that he is correct. This also fixes the date of the book of Daniel to the time that has been claimed for it, because there is no other time in the world's history when these points in Daniel could have been written. For shortly after, Babylon fell into decay. Yeah, see, look at it. It becomes a desert. And these inscriptions were buried out of sight, and the historians made no mention of any of them. Consequently, they never could have been learned afterwards. Therefore, they were learned in Babylon at the time when they transpired, and thus the claims of the book of Daniel are correctly placed and absolutely fixed at the date 538 BC. Right? The point here that I want to make, as our pioneers fix 538 BC based on secular history. They did not use chronology to come up with 538 BC. What did they say? It's according to secular history, right? They fixed the fall of Babylon on 538. Okay? You get that? All right. This is going to be very important. This is going to be very important because our pioneers say that the fall of Babylon is 538. Right? See, for proofs, see Encyclopedia Britannica. So what do? They say, look at Encyclopedia Britannica. Britannica says 538. It's 538. Okay. The list of instruments mentioned in Daniel 3, 7, and 3, verse 5, 7, and 15 is another proof. For this very list is true to the time of Daniel and would never have been thought of 3 centuries later. In short, every historical or social allusion in Daniel is borne out by the facts discovered. Okay, this 538 is very important. You may think that it's not important, it's very important, okay? All right, because you're going to have to defend this 538. How are you going to defend it? Now, this chart is the 1843 chart, right? This chart was guided by the hand of the Lord, right? And on it, according to Ellen White, in early writings, page 74, God hid a mistake in it. A mistake, meaning there's how many mistakes? There's only one mistake. What is that one mistake? What is that one mistake in this 1843 chart that made some of the figures incorrect? What was the one mistake in this 1843 chart that God hid? The fullness of year. Okay, remember, fullness of year. What does that mean, fullness of year? From 457 BC until 2300 years later, until 1844, it has to be from what? From fall to fall. All right? That is the mistake that they thought that God had covered, that God's hand was covering. When that mistake was uncovered, then they said, oh, wow, it's October 22, 1844. That's the one mistake. Look at this. This is according now, how did the pioneers get this? Remember, we just read it. A.T. Jones confirmed it. He said, oh, you know what? We got it from Encyclopedia Britannica. It's from history. We got 538 from history. The overthrow of ancient Babylon. 538. Okay, now let's see. This is very interesting. To me, this is very interesting. Okay, I hope it is interesting for you too. Because one day you're going to have to defend this 538. Where's that 538? Right here. 538, you're going to have to defend. If there's only one mistake, then 538, could 538 be wrong then? It can't be wrong. It can't be wrong. If the mistake is the year, the fullness of the year is the mistake, is everything else correct? Everything else has to be correct, right? Including 538. 538 has to be correct. Okay, all right. Now, this is what was discovered, the Nabonidus Chronicle. And this is at the British Museum. Okay, so Atet, when we go back there again, we're going to look up this one too again, Atet, right? All right, okay. All right. This is what it reads. The 17th year, which is 539. This is actually put in, right? Because when we find out, the Babylonians are very, very precise. And we know exactly the 17th year of Nabonidus. The 17th year of Nabonidus, which is 539 and 538, right? It overlaps 539 and 538. Nabu came from Borsippa for the procession of Bel. Bel is Baal. Baal came out. Until the end of the month, Ululu. Okay, what? You know what? When you read it, Ululu, what's the years of Ululu is? Okay, here's Babylonian calendar. The first month, Nisanu, Ajaru, Simanu, Duuzu, Abu, Ululu. Okay, it's the 6th month. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, it's in the 6th month that what? Nabu came out, right? When Cyrus did battle. Now, Cyrus came and battled at Opis, at the Tigris against the army of Akkad is Babylon, against the people of Akkad. And the people of Akkad retreated. He carried off the plunder and slaughtered the people. On the 14th of day of Sippar was captured without a battle. So Sippar fell. Nabonidus fled. On the 16th day, okay, so it's not Ululu. It's got to be the next month, all right? It's Tasritu. It's the 7th month. On the 16th day of the 7th month, they entered Babylon. Afterwards, after Nabonidus retreated, he was captured in Babylon. Until the end of the month, the shield-bearing troops from Gutium surrounded the gates of Esagil, but interruptions of the rites. So they continue to have their rites to Esagil, right, in the temple. There was not, and no date for the performance was missed. On the 3rd day of the Arasamna, Cyrus entered Babylon. So did Cyrus enter Babylon at the time that they attacked initially? No. Cyrus entered Babylon on the next month, on the 3rd day of the next month. Right? Why is this important? Okay, you're going to find out why this is important. But this is the Jewish year. The Jewish year, they basically just copied the Babylonian years. For the 70 years they were there, they picked up the Babylonian traditions. Look at these names. Nisanu is Nisan. Ajaru becomes Iyar. Simanu becomes Sivan. Duzu becomes Tammuz. Abu becomes Ab. Ululu becomes Elul. Tasritu becomes Tishri. It's all they picked up. They picked up what? Babylonian months, right? Yeah. Right? So here, it was on the 16th day of the 7th month that they conquered Babylon, and then Cyrus entered on the 3rd day of the 8th month. Now, if you depend on, who likes to use up Wikipedia to make their research paper? You better not, because they are absolutely incorrect. You know what? They did not follow this. They did not read this. Their dates are incorrect. Don't use Wikipedia, okay? Right? Yeah, they're incorrect. All right, here you go. Remember this. We already got this, right? This is the 70 years. Babylon conquered Assyria, and then 70 years later, right, Babylon's going to fall. Right here, and 539. Babylon falls in 539, and our pioneers say is 538. And 538 cannot be wrong. Do we have a problem? Well, I think you know that we're going to resolve that problem, but right now there is a problem, okay? There is a problem because everything says that it's in 539 that Babylon fell. And our pioneer says, and they printed it on that sacred chart, that is 538. So who's right? Okay, we have to resolve this, right? Are we just gonna say, okay, whatever, keep going? Huh? Are we? No. Remember, this year's 677, 609, 586, 593, 537, all these years is in what year? What calendar? It's a Julian calendar. When you reconcile this, you have to use the Julian calendar. All right? Do you know the difference between the Julian and the Gregorian calendar? It's a little different, okay? It's a little different. They start with in the January to January, but it's a little different. It's okay. We won't go into that right now, okay? But it's using Julian calendar so that you can synchronize it, right? This is when Babylon fall. According to the cuneiforms, is 539. Okay. 539, okay? 539 BC, right here. This is 539, and this is 538. Right? You see that? 539 and 538. This is according Julian calendar. The issue is that what calendar were they using in the time of Babylon? Were they using the Julian calendar? No. What years were how did they calculate their years? How did the Babylonians and eventually the Jews calculate their years? No, not the barley harvest. They didn't use the barley harvest.
The equinox.
Yeah, how did they calculate the years? It is correct. They calculated according to the equinox, but how did they calculate? Okay, the next year is going to be. How they calculate it? According to the kings. Is the 7th year of this king and the 17th year. So when did Babylon fall? On which year? Which year? We just went through that. The 17th year of Nabonidus. All right. So, and that 17th year begins on what? Fall to fall or spring to spring? It's spring to spring. It's spring to spring. So it's spring to spring, okay? Or this is the 17th year of Nabonidus. And it says, remember, it was on the 16th day of the 7th month. So you calculate it right here. Okay, if this is the 6th month, this is the 7th day. It's the 16th day of the 7th month. If you pull the line and go to the Julian calendar, what date would that be? It's October 12th. So, according to the Julian calendar, the fall of Babylon is on October 12, 539 BC. Now, this is where you're going to have to reconcile. Is that, did they calculate it based on the Julian calendar? Of course they didn't. They calculated on the year of Nabonidus. And the year of Nabonidus is what? 539/538, because the year of Nabonidus is from here to here, right? So it's part in 539 and part in 538. So when they say that the fall of Babylon is in the 17th year of Nabonidus, what does that mean? It means that the 17th year is 539 and 538. Well, no, remember, this is the 17th year already. This is 17th year. Do you get it? So the 17th year is actually part 539 and part 538.
What's October 12?
Because October 12 is actually in 539, but that's in the Julian calendar. But they didn't use Julian calendar then. They used the Babylonian time, which is, right. So you can actually defend that the pioneers were also correct, because they were not using the Julian calendar in that time here. They were using the Babylonian time, which also overlaps 539 and 538. Okay? Yeah, Jewish calendar also is right here, because they go from spring to spring also. Right, spring to spring. Okay? Do you get all that?
What happened on October 12? You didn't answer my question.
They fell. Babylon fell. Yeah.
So you have to include it as like his whole reign of this.
So it says Babylon fell on the 17th year of Nabonidus, right? They didn't say Babylon fell in 539. Because there's no such thing as 539 in those days. Babylon fell in the 17th year of Nabonidus.
Or the 16th day of the 7th month.
Then the 16th day of the 7th month of
his 17th year.
Of his 17th year. Okay. Does his 17th year include the 538? Yes. It includes 538.
He fell the 16th day of the 7th month.
That's right. He fell on the 16th day.
The whole 17th year.
You have to count the whole year, because that's how they counted in those days, right? You get it? Right, Nathan? You get it? I want to make sure. Because one day you're going to have to defend the chart, okay?
But it's written under cuneiform.
Yeah, it's the 70th year of Nabonidus. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's the 17th year. And the 17th year is part 539 and part 538. In the Julian calendar. If you're... the Gregorian calendar is a little bit different. It's a little off. Right. Yeah, it's a little off by a few weeks, actually. All right. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go... Okay, we'll just go here, okay? We'll just end it right here with the seven thunders again. We'll end at the seven thunders. Right, the seven thunders, right? This is the seven thunders is from here to here. Right? And we have 7 time prophecies. The special light given to John, which was expressed in the seven thunders, was the delineation of events, which would transpire under the first and second angel's message. That's the seven thunders. These 7 time prophecies actually translate into events. All these events will line up right here, okay? And that's the 7 thunders. And the 7 thunders are repeated in our time. No, in our time right here, right? Okay, all right. Let's see. After the 7 thunders uttered their voices, the instruction comes to John, as to Daniel in regard to the little book. Seal up these things which the 7 thunders uttered. These relate to future events, right? Future events. These are the future events, which will be disclosed in their order. Okay? All right. So, we're going to have to do the 7 times, the 7 thunders of the kings of Medo-Persia. We did the 7, kind of like the 7 kings of Judah. So we're gonna have to do the 7 kings of Medo-Persia and see what we can study. We can find out from this about the tidings from the east and then the north, because we understand that these 7 kings, right, starting with Cyrus. Because Cyrus was the one that was already prophesied that he will come. And he will come and destroy Babylon. He will straighten the crooked Euphrates. He'll dry up the Euphrates so that the kings of the east can come in, right? So we're going to study these seven kings right here, and then we're going to see what it shows us. We've done this more. We've done this before, but there's a lot more being updated now. That's going to show us, right? Lot more things are being opened now. A lot more prophecies, more understandings are being opened for us to study. All right? So we'll continue next week. Right? And that is the more sure word of prophecy.